It was in my mailbox, though.
Good evening, everybody. Happy New Year, and welcome to the first meeting of January 4th council meeting. Could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councillor La Rochelle?
Here.
Councillor Moore?
Here.
Councillor Lunt?
Here.
Councillor Robichaud?
Here.
Councillor Smith?
Here.
And Councillor Miller?
Yes, here.
And Councillor Fellows?
Council Fellows is excused, but typically with our meeting rules, we actually go for a vote to approve his absence. So I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Second. All in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Thank you. Next item, please.
As good news and recognition?
Anybody have any good news and recognition? Council or the audience? I think we have some coming up here shortly, so
You do.
move to the next item, please.
Public hearings, we have none. Audience participation and response for agenda items is next.
Anybody have anything to bring up in audience participation? And this would be for the agenda items. Yes.
Thank you. Lisa Ward, Lisbon Falls. And I actually am here to address two different agenda items. I hope that's okay.
That's fine.
I know that the National Incident Management System is on the agenda, and I just want to make sure that everybody knows how important NIMS is to emergency management and to emergency responders, to make sure that everybody's on the same page. That's really all it does. But it can be such a big help, especially when now that this is something that is being done right at the local level, state level, and national level. What happens is more and more volunteer organizations are being trained in it as well, so that when we have volunteers who assist police, fire, EMS, and other kinds of emergency responders, there's a better response, and it's a really good thing to do. So I'm glad to see it on the agenda today. The next thing, agenda item I wanted to address, and I'm just going to pull up a couple notes that I have, if you'll bear with me just a second here. There it is. I know that a little later on in the agenda are the committee reports for the different committees for town. And as chair of the Lisbon Development Committee, that too, I recently sent an email to the LDC, and I wanted to share the gist of it with the council, especially considering the fact that we have a lot of new members on the council. I think it helped to keep folks up to speed, and I know, Fern, you're on the LDC, and so is Dawn, but I thought this might be helpful for later on in the meeting. So the LDC's recently and currently working on a variety of different projects. They include everything from decorative banners to put on Route 196 and Main Street and Village Street, to the Moxie Hub for helping to build small businesses, entrepreneurs. But also the future of the Warumbo site has been one of the main items on our own agendas without a break for almost 2 years. So what we've done is, I would like to give you guys a picture of what we're doing moving forward. Our next meeting is January 12th, which is next week. It's going to be live streamed like all our meetings are now. We've scheduled it, though, to include some representative views on how to approach the future of the Warumbo site. I'm loosely referring to it as an ad hoc committee. It's really a work group that includes folks from other committees, Save the View, Positive Change Lisbon, and members of the LDC who also represent a pretty broad range of the community. This work group is going to help narrow down the choices for the development committee to consider before we make our final recommendations to the council. So real quick, an outline for how we're going to do that. Howard Cohn, who's from the Chesapeake Group, will present 4 preliminary scenarios for us. And they'll be based on the recent market analysis that the town had done. The scenarios will include different development levels, everything from minimal development to fully developed. So there'll be 4 different ones. Those will be our working scenarios, so that we can make changes to those and work on them. Then the work group has already been emailed the preliminary scenarios to work with. We've published them on warumbo.org, where everyone can see everything that we're working on. And the work group will help form the information that the LDC brings to the council later. The next step, we'll ask the committee members and the invited guests, and the community at large is welcome. Also, we're going to be accepting input from the audience as well. We're asking for as much input as possible at that meeting. We'll discuss, we'll brainstorm, we'll work to prepare those preliminary scenarios. Then the LDC will review the scenarios from the work group and do the final submission for the council on, that meeting is on February 1st. February 1st, we'll present those 4 worked on scenarios to the council. We will, following the approval of the options, we'll have the consultants complete the analysis work for the next step on each one of those during the next month. Now, a number of things could happen. We could come up with a 5th scenario. We could cut it down to 3 or 2. It all depends on how that work group, how that sort of brain trust meeting goes. Once the consultants finish their work on the scenarios, they'll complete the information we need for the final presentation to council. They'll include financial benefit cost analysis for each of the scenarios individually. They'll help us look at the economic impacts and things like the downtown TIF and tax incentives. They'll also include parking and the parking study information from the parking study we're having done. And that will be analyzed for each individual scenario so that we have a clear picture on how much parking and how much it'll cost. Okay. We'll also have the consultants create final sketches to help give us, the council, and the public a really clear view of what the final products are expected to look like. We decided this was really extra important because we saw in some previous earlier steps, we saw some misinterpretation that wasn't intentional. So we want to make sure that the information that everyone's seeing is exactly the information that we're trying to present, so that people can make their decisions based on that. After that's all complete, we'll send a mailer out to the Lisbon residents. That will be in March. Because, let's see, early February will be the council meeting, February will be the consultants putting together all the information, and early March we hope to send out that mailer. During our review of the Warumbo process, which we have done in quite a few times along the way, we stopped doing review the process, make sure it's what we need to do. During our review, we had a lot of input about how folks thought that a direct mailer would be really valuable, and we agreed with that. We budgeted for a mailer, and we have it planned for March. So that's just one more opportunity to have added input and the vital participation that we've really been looking for from residents of Lisbon. Finally, we'll have the survey results tabulated, and the final results will be presented to the council along with the final parking study information, the market analysis information, and at that point, we'll leave it in the council's hands. So a lot of stuff really fast, but I know you guys have a big agenda today, so. But I'm happy to take any questions about either the EMA-oriented things or the development committee things.
Any questions for council? Just one now, the meeting on the 12th, is that actually live here also?
Yes.
So it could be in person if you want it to be? Is there audience allowed
Yes.
The public, okay.
Yeah,
And it will be live streamed?
it's going to be live streamed. You know what, Fern?
That was a question that was asked me today.
Yeah.
So I figured
I'm going to double check because I remember last time we had a meeting that we wanted as much input as possible. We had some logistical issues with Zoom or live. Is it okay if I email?
Oh, absolutely,
I'll find out tomorrow, and I'll. Yeah, I need to know too anyway because I always end up sending out the final email to remind everyone. So. Good. It'll just make me do it sooner, on
Super.
time.
Thank you.
All right. Great. Anything else? Thanks so much. I appreciate it, everyone.
Thank you. Anybody else for audience participation or information? Seeing none, moving on. Twyla?
Next is the consent agenda. Any items wishing to be removed may be done now. Seeing none. Order 2022-01 to approve the municipal accounts payroll warrants for $707,024.97. Municipal payroll warrants for $344,167.02. The school accounts payable warrants for $328,565.86. The school payroll warrants for $1,408,308.92. The council minutes for December 7th, and to ratify the results have been corrected for the November 2, 2021 election. They've been sent to the Secretary of State's office as well. And it is to set the public hearing on January 18th for a medical marijuana manufacturing, retail store, and victuals license for Crystal Springs, and a special entertainment permit and victuals license for the Olive Pit Brewing Company, plus approving the temporary road postings, which includes authorization to adopt the MDOT state rules in Chapter 308 for local roads, and authorizes the temporary road closures for the following roads: Bodenham Borough, Edgecombe Ferry, Fisher, Gould, Hewden, King, Littlefield, Mill, Moody, Pine Woods Road, River Road, Summer Street, along with Wing Street and Webster Road, which are posted year-round. Plus, this motion will approve the wellness grant and authorize the town manager to apply and accept funds from the Maine Municipal Employees Health Trust 2022 wellness grant in the amount of $2,000, and to adopt the NIMS resolution as presented.
Entertain a motion to accept.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Order passed 6-0.
Next item, please.
Is the council orders, resolutions, and ordinances. Order 2022, the Employee Service Awards. Present these. The council is very delighted to be able to present these awards for 5 years of service for the employees of the town of Lisbon. And these employees for 5-year service awards go to Amelia Tuplin, who's a bus driver for Parks and Recreation; Thomas Webster, the treatment plant operator at the sewer department, and if someone is here, please come forward; Zachary Breton, the treatment plant lab technician in the sewer department; Ray Slaughterbeck, the deputy animal control officer at the police department; Robert Wood, firefighter for the fire department; Alex, Thurbridge, firefighter for the fire department; Bill Alexander, the superintendent at the water department, who's recently retired, by the way; Dan Lehman, a member on several boards and committees; Richard Main, who is not able to be here tonight, but he's been a member on several boards and committees; and Chris Rugulis as well. So, what's your name?
Tom Webster.
Next, we have 10-year service awards for Roger Bickford, who's a water commissioner and member on several boards and committees over the 10-year period, and Christopher Cates, a coach at the Parks and Rec department. Neither of them here? Okay, we'll mail those. 15-year service awards go to Tracy Austin, who's a member on the school committee; Stephen Avioli, he wished he could be here tonight. He's a treatment plant superintendent at the sewer department; Marcel Obi, another transfer station operator manager at Public Works; Jeffrey Carr, the firefighter for the fire department; Joseph Robital, firefighter for the fire department; Eric Watson, firefighter for the fire department, Jeremy Williams, a firefighter for the fire department, and custodian Joseph Norman. And we will mail those that are not here. 25-year service awards go to Jim Lemieux at the fire department for firefighter. And a 40-year service award goes to Dana Adams at the firefighter for the fire department. Thank you very much.
And I actually have one here. Twyla, she's very modest at times, but she actually earned her 35-year service award. Twyla's been here for a long time, and I'm not sure we'd know what to do without her at times. So thank you, Twyla, very much. And Tracy Austin did call me today. She was hoping to be here in person, but she wasn't able to make it. But she is honored to actually serve the town and plans to do it for much longer, hopefully. And everybody else who got award, thank you very much for putting in time. And the town definitely is better off by all the people that actually help and serve and volunteer. Thank you. Next item, please.
Order 2022, number 3, the MDOT Route 125 project cost update and use of Dingley TIF funds.
So the bids for the Route 125 project that will start in the spring were opened on December 15th. There were 5 construction companies that bid on the project, and the low apparent bidder is McGee Construction for $7,527,777. That is higher than what we anticipated, so the project currently has a shortfall of about $633,000. Next week, ATRC will reconvene to vote on additional funding for the project, so it will go forward. So because there's a shortfall, our 10% share is $63,300. And we currently have approval from the taxpayers to bond up to $570,000, but we have enough funds in the Dingley TIF reserve account to pay for the whole entire project, our 10% of $633,300. So the recommendation would be to approve $633,300 from the Dingley TIF funds and authorize the town manager to sign an agreement with MDOT with the adjusted cost of the project. This appropriation from Dingley TIF funds supersedes and replaces the authorization for borrowing for this project based on the referendum results of the November 6, 2018 election to fund $430,000 and to fund an additional amount of $140,000 on 11/3/2020. Once we expend those funds from the Dingley TIF, it'll probably take a couple of years to spend that amount down. Right now, we will have a balance of about $70,000 until the next commitment, and the next commitment will be the final commitment or final amount going into the Dingley TIF reserve. The 5 years will be up. And it's roughly around $300,000 a year that we put in towards that reserve. That's in a nutshell.
Entertain a motion, and we can have some discussion.
I like the idea of not borrowing money.
Absolutely, pay as you go, right?
Yep.
And do you know how much we'd save, paying for it versus what we'd have to pay for interest if we borrowed it? Any kind of rough estimate?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I know the interest rates are really low right now, but the intent all along was to use the Dingley TIF funds to fund this project and to fund that a portion of the fire truck that we just got, the newest one. So, and we set that TIF up for that reason, to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's a good project for sure. We've been looking for this project for what?
Ever.
Forever, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's got to be done one way or
It needs to
another.
be done. So it seems to be a great improvement, and as you said, the idea that using money that we have, not borrowing money that we'll have to pay back year to year. So it's actually a very good project.
The other part of this is the water portion of the project came in way under bid, which was good for them. And the sewer portion came in over what we expected, but we had a placeholder in there for about $2 million, so we're going to have about $400,000 left over that can go to another sewer project that's on our list that we need to get done, either sewer or something at the wastewater treatment plant.
Very good.
Which is all good news.
Any other questions at all on it? I'm just anxious to see it actually start and make progress. Right?
It's been kicked down the road for 10 years.
What is the initial, or
Once
hypothetical
they
start date?
award the bid, then they will get a they'll get something from the contractor on a schedule from the contractor and when they're going to start and what end they're going to start on and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
I expect it'll be probably in April.
And the meeting that we actually had with DOT, it's really up to the contractor at that point to actually determine which end he wants to start on, or actually work in between, or the scheduling of it. So, but there is a time frame, I believe, right? It's actually an extended time frame because of the winter and stuff. But
Right.
Do they come to us with that proposal, or is that all through DOT?
I
It
believe
will all go through DOT, but we'll have meetings.
Okay.
Yeah.
There'll be another public meeting as well on this.
Yep, and I think the contractor actually will be there.
We'll be at that meeting, yeah.
Yep. Super. If there's no more questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second over here. All those in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Next item, please.
Order 2022, number 4, to review council rules and suggested amendments.
If it's okay with council, what I'd like to do is move the council rules and the idea of the committee assignments to the next meeting, so we have a complete council, so everybody's on hand to actually make that. And that way there we can have a complete council and everybody can have an input. Everybody's all set with that?
Yep, makes sense. Yep.
If so, we'll just move it to the next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you, Twyla.
Yep.
Next item, please.
Order 2022, number 5, to accept the town manager's resignation.
Do we have to?
Yeah, I don't
Fortunately,
I think all the council has actually read Diane's letter that came to us, so that she's actually resigning and actually moving on to a different community. We appreciate all the time you definitely have been with us and everything that you've done. And hopefully we'll have some more time here in the next couple of weeks to try to get as much out of you as we can before
I
you
was just
leave.
going to say that. Lead me dry.
Yeah, exactly. So
All
entertain
our days are short.
That's right. So entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Order 2022, number 6, to confirm the appointment of tax collector and treasurer.
So I made one little change on this today. I originally had effective 1/21, but I want to do it 1/13 so that I have time to prepare the certificate of settlement for me on the taxes to present to you on the 18th. So I need to have time to do that, to have it in the agenda packet. So by law, you have to have a tax collector and a treasurer. You can't collect taxes without one. So Kayla's been going through the training to be a tax collector and treasurer. I think she only has about 3 more classes left, and she'll be certified. So that would be the logical choice. And with it would be an increase in salary because of all the responsibility that goes on to that, that goes with those duties. They also, the person that holds these 2 positions has to be bonded, and Kayla is bonded. So she checks off all the boxes.
Good.
Any questions from council? Just one question, Diane. Does this, I know you've actually had it separate over the years between the 2. Is that typically how things are done as far as between the finance and have a second person actually do this role? I think it's great that she's able to do it, and definitely it's needed at this point in time.
I think if you, it all depends on moving forward, how you're going to structure the offices. It's good to have that third person, either at least have some of the responsibility, because once I leave, you're only going to have 2 people that can sign checks, and that will be Chief McGee and Kayla. Right now, there's 3 of us that can. So if one's on vacation, the other one's out sick, nobody's going to be able to sign checks or initial things. So I think having that third person is going to be key, but you need to make sure that person's bonded too. But I've seen it both ways. I've seen the manager hold the titles, but you don't want to have a manager hold it if they haven't been trained in tax collection and treasurer. That would be dangerous because they work under a statute that nobody can tell that person what to do. So, and if you have somebody that's really not doing their job collecting taxes, that's not good. You have somebody trained and is certified, they know what they have to do, because there's personal liability, I should say, on the tax collector especially. So that person really needs to be certified and know what they're doing, because they can get the town in a lot of trouble, especially when you're doing liens and foreclosures.
Does the training actually have to be completed prior to her taking
No.
upon that responsibility?
No.
It doesn't, as long as she's in
As long as
trust.
she's, right.
Yeah, fine. Any other questions for council? I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Thank you very much. Not that you didn't have enough to do already, right? So we appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Order 2022, number 7, the tax acquired property redemption.
Do you believe it? We only foreclosed on one piece of property.
Wow.
I tell you, I worked my tail off going door to door with Chief McGee to get these people to pay that wouldn't take their certified letters. But anyway, we got it done.
Good.
Except for this one, and I talked to her, and she's walking away from it because this is the property on the Ridge Road that we took action on and demolished the building. And then Sabatis had to do the supplemental assessment because most of that property's in Sabatis. And we'll get our money back once they foreclose and they put it out to auction. So anyway, I talked to her and she said, I'm not going to pay the taxes, I'm just going to let it go. So I still want to go through the property redemption like I normally do on all of them, so I don't treat her any different, although I know she's not going to pay it. So this is just giving me authorization to send out a 30-day redemption and then to accept the amount here, the $2,277.14 in order to quit claim it back to her, but I know that's not going to happen.
Any questions, council? Seeing none, entertain a motion. Take a motion, second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
That's pretty good, Diane, because in years past, we've actually had double digits, right?
It takes
Yeah.
a lot of work. You can't just send the notices out and hope they pay. You have to follow up and research numbers, phone numbers, do what it takes. And I tell you, for 2 whole weeks, that's all I did.
Thank you very much. Yep.
Does anybody know if they were able to conserve the mural that was in that building?
No,
They weren't able to?
I don't think they did. Nope. I know somebody wanted to come and get it, and they were working with Dennis on it, but I don't think they ever did come in and
I
get
think
it.
that was pretty, because that used
Yeah.
to be a tavern back
Yeah.
in the day, and I think
Yeah.
I think it might have been attempted, but I'm not
it was
sure
a
how much.
painted
I don't-
mural on one of the walls in there. That
Very
was
similar to yours.
magnificent.
I wonder if it was by the same person.
I think it was.
What's that?
It may have been by the same person that did the murals in Cliff Miller's new house.
Twyla's old house.
Yeah,
Not positive, but could be. Need to research.
very
that.
interesting. Next item, please.
Order 2022, number 8, the Lisbon COVID-19 vaccination testing and face covering policy.
Give a highlight
Yeah.
on it.
So, as you all know, this went through the Sixth Circuit, and they struck down the stay that OSHA put on. So now we have new dates that we have to comply with, and the thing I forgot to put in here is the policy. So by January 10th, we have to have a policy in place, which is what you're voting on tonight. I also have to, employees who are fully vaccinated have to submit proof of vaccination of their first and second shots by January 10th. And I can tell you, I have a fair amount of employees that won't tell me one way or the other if they're vaccinated or not. So I'll be, that criteria of employees are going to be negative, that they haven't been tested. That's how I'm going to treat those. But, so I'll right out of the gate, I'll be in non-compliance on that unless they let me know one way or the other. But anyway, and also January 10th, the ones that are not vaccinated are going to have to wear a mask, which will include those employees that have not told me one way or the other. And then February 9th is the deadline where the testing has to start for every 7 days. And I'm hoping before that date, the Supreme Court will make their decision. And I think they will. I think they're hearing arguments this week. Is that right, Dan? And then I think it's only a few days after that they're going to render their decision. And hopefully they strike it down and then this policy can go away.
But at this point in time.
But at this point, we need it because you don't have a meeting in between, and we need to be in compliance.
So the employees that don't want, are they union or non-union, or is it a mix?
Both.
It's both. So you actually have non-union people that are acting that way.
I do.
I have 342 that work for us, but I worked with Portland, finally got them over the hump. It's just foolishness, right?
Yeah.
a lot of different views,
I mean,
for
it's
sure.
not, it's not my mandate. It's
I get it.
OSHA, and we have to follow it. It's no different than, and the Department of Labor can come in and audit us at any time.
So for us to be in
All it takes is
compliance,
one complaint from a member
Oh,
of
yeah.
the public to
Yeah,
set
they
them
deal
on
with
us.
it all the
so
time.
for us to be in compliant, we'll actually pass it, and then we'll actually see how things go
Yep.
later on.
What happens if we're not in compliance?
The biggest thing may be even
Fines, right, Dan?
not
Yeah, there's fines.
How much?
Yeah.
14,000.
Yeah, I can't recall what the maximum, but they're pretty
Yeah.
steep.
the bigger concern would be for our insurance, because it would be the same as actually not being in compliance for any other OSHA mandates,
Yeah.
which our insurance actually, I would assume, could actually have questions or concerns that we're not actually following the proper OSHA
So
policies.
during all the COVID outbreak, when we had to follow the governor's mandates, we had to put guidelines out, and I had to submit all of that stuff to our insurance carrier so that they knew that we were following the guidelines. So it's a big deal. They watch that.
What happens if it's voted and then we choose not to be vaccinated, not to wear masks, and not to get tested? Do those people, are they terminated in an already tight market?
Yeah, I mean, that's what the law requires.
Okay.
They not be at work if they are not either
Not compliant.
vaccinated or both testing and wearing masks.
But there is some time frames coming up, so hopefully
Yeah.
within the time frames things will get settled out, and
But the main thing tonight is just to get that policy in place so I
so we're meeting the
pass that
requirements.
mandate.
I'm finding that it's maddening. This COVID thing is so maddening. There are contradictions every day now
Yep.
that we're hearing from the federal government, from state governments, from federal agencies, and they've changed it from 10 days to 5 days to 6 feet to 3 feet to no feet. You just don't really know what's going on. For that reason, I'm going to vote against this policy.
I'm also going to vote against it.
Understandable. Yep.
I'm with you. I'll vote against it because I don't think we need vaccinations or masks. I think everyone needs to get COVID and we need to get over it. But in my opinion.
Well, I'm going to vote for it, right? I mean, it's just, I had the same issue there too, right? 175 employees, and at the end of the day, you got to you're a team, take care of each other, You're never going to win the argument. Is it good for you, not good for you? We're not scientists, we're not doctors, we're just, average Joes trying to survive, trying to make a living. Hopefully keep your family safe, your mom, your dad, your children, right, your brothers and sisters. So what it basically boils down to, yeah, they do change their mind like the weather. I don't disagree with Harry at all. But at the end of the day, people are dying, right? I have a guy that inspects my cranes, right? He didn't come to work yesterday. He died over the weekend, right? Wasn't vaccinated, in his early 50s. So it's real. It's real, right? So
I think one of the
make no
things,
mistake, it's not a myth.
and I think one of the things,
It's my fourth employee gone.
I think it's really important that we actually understand as councilors that, it's important that we actually have our opinions, but actually sit up here, we're actually we're representing the town, and one of the things that we may or may not do is actually put the town in some type of legal hardship if we actually do not vote it through to how we actually implement it at the local level. I mean, that's something that, we can actually look at, but actually as far as in following the guidelines that we may need, again, it's one of those things where, I know, Dan, do you actually have any insight on the idea of some of the liabilities that actually could play through if we would actually not vote in a program like this?
Yeah, I was just looking at the fines. It's $14,000, up to $14,000 per violation, and then for repeated violations, it's 10 times that, 140,000.
And that violation could come from another coworker that actually puts a complaint in about another coworker because of the OSHA type laws, right?
I can't imagine how you're going to operate the town without a policy.
So, Dan, if they don't vote this policy in tonight, Are we still obligated to follow the OSHA mandate? So where does that leave us as implementing this and following it? I mean, we can do it without the policy, is that right? I mean, I still have to follow the OSHA mandate.
Yeah, I mean, the town still has an obligation.
Yeah, you got 200 and something employees. You got no choice.
Yeah.
Then what's the point of the vote?
Well,
Because they're saying you have to have a policy in place. It's
But
just
if we
part of
vote
the mandate.
Not to have the policy, we're still going to follow it?
Well, you're not going to be in compliance with the law.
So we could get fined, you know, that's going to get
Exactly. So you
substantial.
could get fined by not having a
You
policy.
ain't got no choice.
You
don't
can choose
have
to vote it
vote
down,
for
but
Well,
then
we
you're
do,
going to get
but
fined
like
for
right
it.
now, in front of everybody who can ever come back and see this, I meet with a lot of people in town. I know you do, we all do. And I'm not speaking for just me, I'm speaking for everybody I talk to. I know you do, we all have different people with different opinions, but I'm not gonna stand on the side of that, ever. Ever.
Yeah, it's an individual choice, right? I mean, I got all 3 shots because I believe in getting all 3 shots, right? I mean, I got children and grandchildren, and at the end of the day, I want to see them tomorrow. Well, now whether, again, everyone can, I run into people all the time, right? I got many people that I deal with every day that have the opinion that they're useless, they don't work, it's a myth. I get it, right? But people are dying every day, and some of them I know, and some of them I don't see again. So I don't know what to say, if it's real or not real, but death is real. They're not coming back.
But we've also seen more death through opiates, heart disease, and cancer.
I get it.
So I mean, we can't discount any of those because this is the hot topic of politicians today.
Dan, sorry to put you on the spot tonight. I know you didn't roll here for this, but is this actually something that, is there an opportunity for us to actually get more information before the next council meeting and actually do it to vote on the policy later on this month? Or is there actually, I know there's a time frame we're going through, but I mean, I don't foresee us, I mean, is there any litigation that could happen between this and the next meeting that actually, if we're working towards that?
You've got a reporter in the room right now that's going to be reporting out on this.
That's why
so
I'm
it's
asking
gonna
the
hit
town
the
attorney,
newspaper.
so he's the one to be representing. I'm
I
not using
trust
my
you'll
opinion.
be putting this in.
Yeah.
I mean, what I'm hearing is that whether we vote or not, we as a town have an action, right, that we got to go do, right? None of us can change that, right? None of us sitting here can change what needs to happen, right? So we can sit up here and argue about who believes in what, but at the end of the day, the town has to follow what they have to follow.
Yep.
Now, we can sit up here and support you or not support you, right? But either way, you have to go in that direction, right? So I would suggest kicking it down the road don't make any difference, because either way, whether this team votes for it or not, you have a direction that you got to go to, right? So I would say take that journey and go to get yourself set up for success, right? I would not wait for this team for another week. I believe what you're hearing tonight is you already got 3 or 4 that's not going to support you. So my vote to you is say move on and do what's right for the town.
The question.
I doubt that there will be enforcement action within the next 2 weeks.
No, it won't be till after February.
Well, the question I have tonight would be is, and again, this is just a question maybe for Twyla. I mean, if this is a 3-3 vote, it really doesn't go us anywhere, right? So, I mean, that's why we have a council of 7, right?
3-3 is a no vote, is a
no
failed
vote,
vote.
yeah.
Has to be 4 in favor to pass
Again,
anything.
I don't think a vote matters anymore, right? What I'm hearing, right? I mean, I think the town manager and has to move forward to what we need to do.
To actually set a new policy in place, it would actually be voted and approved upon the council.
Okay.
You know, but that would be, no different than when we actually had to put a smoking policy in place, right?
But I heard we can't stop it anyway.
No, the OSHA laws, and we can't.
Right.
We can't change the OSHA laws.
If we don't have a policy, we're still in non-compliance anyway. So.
Yeah. Well, I guess what we'll do is we're actually.
I'm not sure what you're trying to do.
Let me ask you this. Is it possible to say that the policy reflects the mandate from the federal government guidelines? So without us saying, the town of Lisbon says you have to do X, Y, and Z, the town can just say, you have to follow the guidelines of the national mandate, of the federal mandate?
Well,
It does in the purpose. It talks about it complies with the OSHA mandate.
yeah, I mean, the town's required to have a policy, assuming it's not stayed by the Supreme Court. Um, Generally, the council is the policy-making body. I think you could take a vote to adopt it under protest, something along those lines, if it makes it more likely, that it will pass. But ultimately, I think the council should pass, should take a vote to adopt it as the policy of the town of Lisbon as mandated by federal law.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if I'm allowed to speak. Do I come up or?
If you can shine any light on us, that'd be great.
Right. Ryan McGee, Chief of Police. Not sure if I'm supposed to speak up right now, but I appreciate the time. So the policy, I agree with what the town attorney is saying, that we do have to have a policy in place and basically follow the guidelines the law set forth for us. The policy is, Harry Moore made a good point as far as they're changing a lot. But it's also good that's in the policy that it says it'll follow the guidelines set forth by the CDC. There is a part of the policy that actually spells out 10-day quarantine. It talks about the quarantines and close contact. I'd just make a suggestion that if the council does decide to move forward, we should be following the CDC guideline, which it just recently changed to 5 days. So not make employees stay home for 10 days. If really now the CDC is saying only 5 days. So I think we should just make sure that it is reflecting, because it has continued to reduce. It's gone from 14 days to 10 days. Now we're down to 5 days. So that'd just be my own recommendation. And that just changed. So.
And we can actually just make it as it reflects the current CDC guidelines, right? So
Yeah.
this could be changed daily, right?
Yep.
Could go down 2 days, right? Or no
And
day.
as we've seen, it's going to, right? I mean, 2022 is going to have many changes, right?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So we can make that change, just follow the CDC guidelines. I can make that change
The current.
there.
So we're not actually looking at something that's actually dated. I think
Right,
that'd be
current
important.
CDC guidelines. Yep, I'll
The,
change that.
Would it make sense for her to table this until
Yeah, that would be my suggestion. Have a full council.
Donna's here?
If, I mean, there are other councils and other communities that probably haven't set this in motion yet. I don't know I'm here just representing the rest of the council, so, what's the idea of the council? Should we actually take a vote on it tonight, or should we actually move it to the next council meeting so we have a full council?
Well, my question is there a risk moving it for 2 weeks? I mean, I don't want to put the town at risk.
Greater risk than not adopting it.
So
I would be inclined to defer it.
Yep. So we had a motion and a second.
Did you?
I'd like to make a motion that
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
table this until our next regular meeting.
Just move it to the next meeting?
Move it.
Yeah, because you need to make a motion on the table to table the motion to the next meeting.
Exactly. I didn't know if we actually had a motion
I don't
before,
think so. There wasn't any motion that I saw yet.
Okay, so we
So-
can just actually table it to the next meeting, and maybe we can get some more homework in between and make sure that everything is the best we can actually present. How's that?
So you can change the language to reflect.
And we can
what
change
you
the
have.
language to reflect the current,
Yeah.
which might change tomorrow.
Yep.
But if we put current CDC, we don't have to worry about any changes.
Exactly.
It's always
Yep.
going to reflect it.
Yep.
Possibility it's going to change within
As
2
that day,
weeks.
right?
So
Everybody all
move
good
the
with that?
target.
Everybody else have to move it to the next meeting, and then we'll actually, I would just encourage anybody who has any questions or any other information, please forward them in so we can actually try to get any questions answered prior. And we'll get Dawn up to speed, and then then the next meeting we can follow through and have a little bit larger discussion, or actually just move through with a
Yeah.
vote. I think we're going to make a vote at the next meeting regardless. It's just the idea of trying to be as well-informed as we can, and maybe part of that would be just maybe getting more guidelines on the idea of our legal requirements. So.
I mean, I'd just like to say, and, you know, it gives everybody 2 weeks to think about this. I mean, it's not an individual thing here, right? We got to do what's best for the town. So, I mean, I really like to make sure everyone understands it's not what I personally believe. I mean, if I went for what I personally believe, I probably shouldn't be sitting here, right? I'm here for 9,000 people, right? So,
Absolutely. And
we got to remember, you know, we're here for the wealth of the town, not as individuals. So I just like to put that out there, make sure we all are on that same page when it comes time to talk about stuff like that.
I'm sure there's people looking after this to actually make a living off litigation of how this goes in one way or the other. So we will have to be very careful. All right, next item, Twyla.
Sure. Under other business, council committee reports.
Unless there's someone on the council that actually has a committee report, I know we actually had one from the LDC already, but I think we'll kind of move forward with this until we get to our next meeting, and then we can, you know, start right into the committees. I would recommend the idea of as you look at the calendars and see the different committees meet. In the meantime, if you do want to, they're all open to the public, so if you do want to sit in within any of the committees just to see what they do and just make sure you have an interest, feel free to do that. That would, you know, sometimes helps a little bit, just getting in and understanding what it's all about and seeing the people that make up the committees. Next item, please.
Town manager's report.
Just trying to wrap up a lot of things before I leave. There's a lot on my plate. Hopefully I can get through a lot of it.
A lot going on, right?
Yep.
How much can you delegate to the chief?
Next item, please.
Yes. Council communications.
Anything of the council? Anybody have anything to express or share?
I would like to congratulate Jeff Pickard. Stand up, Jeff.
Sure.
Jeff just was promoted to lieutenant. So,
Awesome.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Congratulations on your promotion, Jeff.
How many years, Jeff? We've been with the town?
22 and a half years.
22 and a half.
It's the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Audience participation response for new agenda items or new items.
Anybody have anything new that they want to add or bring forth to the council? Seeing none, we'll move forward. Next item, please.
Is Order 2022, number 10, to go into executive session per 1 MRSA Section 405-6A Personnel Matters.
Take a motion.
Make that motion.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Order passed 6-0.
And we will be coming back out for a vote, if that's
Okay.
a question.
All right.
Should we just stay here and or
We'll turn this off.
Yeah, turn it off, and we'll remain here, and then we'll invite everybody back shortly if you want to stay for the after the executive session. Plenty of people watching.
When this happens, there you
Here we go.
We're ready.
Will you back officially, Twyla?
We are.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
I would like to make a motion that the council appoint Ryan McGee, Chief of Police, as the interim town manager.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Order passed 6-0.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Next item.
Order 2022, number 11, to adjourn.
Entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Order passed 6-0. I'll turn off
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate the input.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.